Okay, here we go. So this is the regular meeting of the Woodbridge Conservation Commission, March 16th, 2017. As always, we start with public comment. There's not enough room in this space for the public to have comment, but there's nobody here.
Commenting elsewhere.
Yes, the public is commenting elsewhere tonight. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to review and approve the minutes of February 16th of our regular meeting, which have just recently been circulated. So let's all take a quick moment and scan through. Oh, it was when the Boy Scouts were here.
Mm-hmm.
This is riveting.
Did you ever see those lovely pictures?
No, I didn't. Did
Yeah.
you?
No, it's
Oh, I'd love to see them. Probably on the Boy Scout website or something.
Can't believe that was only a month ago.
I know, it feels like a
I
long.
didn't even remember
I
that.
tell you, this snowstorm just made everything feel like a long time ago.
Holy mackerel.
Was April that,
You know why that happened?
World
No, I don't
Earth Day?
Oh,
Because I declared
And
that there was
it's
gonna
my
be no
birthday.
more
How
bad
did I
weather.
forget it?
Oh, thanks, Lauren.
Yep, you're welcome.
I didn't know that, Jason.
Wait, what?
Earth Day is Jason's birthday.
Oh, that's perfect for
Wow.
you. Yeah. Nice.
So is the trail, is there something that month that we do in
It's an
conjunction?
important meeting.
Super good.
Let's hold on that. for-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So
minutes.
I'm just looking at them, because it says April upcoming trail walks, I just didn't know if that was missing, because it was.
It was missing because I didn't put someone, I didn't know, I forgot,
Oh,
or
okay.
I didn't put someone.
I don't think anyone had
Okay.
spoken up. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our regular February meeting?
Sure, motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Except
Sorry I
that.
missed it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain because I wasn't there.
Abstain. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
I'm Tracy.
An update on our 2017 trail walks. Well, we just touched briefly on that, and I wanted to see if I still had.
Can you send out like an email reminder of when the one is coming up?
Yeah, I was just looking, I had a document that covered everything for 2016, and apparently I never wrote one for 2017, so that needs to happen. We're only at month 3, so that's something not too hard to do. And I'll do it right now. Tom, I saw you on the list of person to do a March walk. We're halfway through the month. Do you still?
Probably not with the snow. That wouldn't be good.
And this weekend is looking pretty
Yeah.
sketchy for weather too.
So I was planning to do it behind the Darling House,
Ah, right.
but
Ellerslie Trail over there.
I think once, because I wanted to actually take it around toward the piece of property that we're looking at back there.
Yes.
So that's kind of going through the stone wall and onto that property. So I think it'd just be a difficult walk right now because that would actually be probably not traveled on or lightly traveled on. So, and I'd probably be the only one with snowshoes.
Not me.
Not you.
So do we have an April? Because I can take April if we don't have it.
We.
We don't. We didn't
What
have
am
someone
I-
leading one.
I don't think
When
we.
am I doing one?
I think you're May.
Okay.
All right, so I can do April.
In May? Okay.
Tracy, I'm going to volunteer you for a walk then for May.
I know I volunteered for one.
I think you're on May. I can check on the
Okay.
minutes if you give me a second to look back.
Because we should do another country club walk.
Yeah.
And my opinion is sooner rather than later
Right.
on that.
You want to do that one in May, or do you want to do that one in April?
How about May 20th?
I think May is probably better just because the weather's a little more predictable.
Sure,
Because
okay.
April can still be really mushy.
May
Okay.
20th?
May
Sixth.
20th, so that'd be, we usually try to land them on the first weekend
Okay,
of the month if possible.
May 6th.
When do you like to, when you say?
The first weekend.
First weekend, all right.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that works for me.
So that'd be April 1st.
May,
Or
May
second.
1st.
May.
Well,
Oh,
for,
no,
right,
May
for Tom on
6th.
April.
Oh.
And May 6th or 7th. And Saturdays generally would get a bigger turnout than a Sunday morning.
Okay.
I will do Saturday, but, has to be at least 9:30, cannot be any earlier than that.
I think a lot of people will agree with that.
So,
And Tom, you were mentioning the Bishop Trail.
And so you wanna do the country club, is that it? That's fine,
I would like to do the country club, yeah.
that works.
April 1st, okay.
And why is that?
Our last country club walk, being so bitterly cold and windy, turned some people away.
Okay.
So I think having it in better weather will attract more people. And honestly, being on the property gives you such a different aspect. Did you and Julie get a chance to walk over there yet?
It's been cold and windy and snowy. And so we're doing this, I mean, how will this serve the Conservation Commission?
Last time we did a special meeting for the trail walk. This time, it's just going to be a walk. Walk on the country club
See
property.
the beautiful property.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a special walk with commission members assessing the property, et cetera, et cetera. We've already done that. I think this time, if you can make it, great. If you can't make it, that's fine. Mostly it's to get the public out and the opportunity to walk on it, because I think some people are still hesitant to just walk on the property.
Mhm.
So,
So on the April 1st, what time would you think would be a good time?
usually between 9 and 10 on a Saturday morning.
Let's do 9. 9 a.m. I'll try and get out there ahead of time, just to,
A pre-walk.
yeah.
So where's yours gonna be?
Behind the Darling House, there's
Oh,
a
okay,
trail
yeah.
that,
Yeah, I've been there.
park in the lot and then go down.
I've actually
And then we get over the river, the stream, over West River, take a right.
been.
And that'll take you toward the property that we were, what's the address there?
1875 Litchfield Turnpike.
1875 Litchfield Turnpike, right, so I was going that way, we go around the back. And then we can always go out that way, and we can circle back around
Yep.
and come back in the other direction.
It makes a good hour walk.
Yeah, it's a nice walk, it's not real hilly, I mean, you could make it really hilly, you can go up to West Rock, but I would not be doing that. So we would just start, I'd say we go into the right, go up, maybe see a little bit of that property. And then, when we come back out, just loop back around.
Yeah, that should
It's
work.
relatively flat. And it should be relatively dry too, I think once, it does circle back, the trail goes back along near
Yep.
West River,
Unless we get a lot of rain. And then that turns into
or a torrent.
hopping from stone to stone to get across to certain spots.
Yeah.
We'll see what the weather brings.
Yeah,
Same thing with the country club. If it's been pouring rain, you're
come
gonna,
prepared,
it'll be mushy, very mushy,
mushy still.
So
but-
we may do something different.
maybe. So,
Well, but
We just
We'll
go with
plan
our
for it and
even
we'll
in the
go-
country club, you've got the cart paths.
that's true, the cart paths do cover most of the walk.
Yeah, so you
That's
can
right.
just walk the, you know,
Okay.
shouldn't be an issue. Even if you got water going across, it's still gonna be, won't be mushy. You just have to, you know, would be able to cut across certain parts.
Yeah. A bunch of people sledding today.
That's over.
It's great conditions.
Were there,
Mhm.
on the golf course?
Yeah, on my way home from work, there was people parked on the side street,
Good.
people heading out, hitting the hills.
Yeah.
I feel like Frank could volunteer for something in the summer.
I think so. I think we all volunteered for something.
Yeah. All right. I will revise this document and get it out to everybody. I'll reflect back on some of the other minutes that indicated who had June, July, August, September, November, or December. I have October at Massaro with that one. All right. So,
September, you said?
September needs a person, yeah.
No, when do you have them, Sarah? When do you do it?
October.
October.
It coincides with their family fun day.
Just try and see if we get like Crystal Scalzo or
Mm-hmm.
some of the other Marianne Veggie, maybe go along with it, because that'd be a good time for birds as well.
And Chris has certainly been up to the farm in the past, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else around trails?
I may call them for April too.
All right, so next on the agenda is to review and act upon the 2017 open space plan.
Approved.
I would love to wrap this up, but the email I got from Frank, aside from saying he wasn't going to be here tonight because he was getting sick, he says that he made some changes to the open space plan,
Oh, good.
and him not being here to review them
Yeah.
Oh,
means
we can't do it.
we should give him the opportunity to
Did he
present
send
his
them?
change. He did not send them, but it should give him the opportunity
Yeah,
to
sure,
present his
of course.
changes, because the document is not,
It's lengthy.
it's lengthy, and it's
Yeah.
not as though it has to get done by
Right.
March or
Were
something
they
like that.
changed after
Yeah.
the last version you sent out?
What has changed? Oh,
Were they changed, like, you sent out another version today? Were they
Yes.
changed after that?
I don't know, and I don't know where he made the changes or how he made the changes, if he just wrote them down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, then we should wait. He usually has good comments.
But I do want to talk about, there were some other minor changes, and if we looked at our minutes from last time that Lauren had sent around. There was some changes to the language in the Greenway, the West River Greenway section that we wanted to make. So I'm going to bring up that document here on my computer. And Tracy, you did make some changes,
And they were in the
Just
version
today.
you sent out today.
and can you just highlight what those?
Can I have a piece of paper back?
Yes.
So I was looking up what this West River Greenway was, and it's actually the West River watershed on the DEP website that was classified as official greenway in 2015. So I changed everything to watershed, but I realized we need, like, after the beginning, it really should say West River Watershed Greenway, I think, to really clarify what we're talking about. So that's handwritten in here, it's not in the version you have.
Okay.
And it said the West River Greenway is defined as a corridor, blah, blah, blah. That's actually statutory definition of a greenway, so I just put in a general statute definition of a greenway and crossed that out. There was something about someone's been in contact, in the beginning, the Watershed Coalition, it said it consists of 5 stakeholder towns. There are actually a ton of people, groups involved in it. I made a little footnote of all the groups involved in the coalition. So I changed the language to includes 5 stakeholder towns, because that's probably the most relevant thing to us, but there are also these other groups that I put in the bottom in case anyone wants to know. And I also put a link to the DEP page where it shows that the greenway is.
Well, could we link all the footnote of all the, instead of having all that in the document?
Yeah, that whichever ways you guys wanna do it, I just.
I'd rather
wanted to
just
have-
link it, say, you
Have the
know,
information.
yeah, just who comprised of the group, and then just say you can find all those people here, you know, that's just.
Yeah, because this is everyone I didn't think it was worth putting all of that in the document, so.
No,
And
so
this
we
is-
could link it to that, that'd be great.
There's a West River Watershed Coalition website, which webpage, I also have a link right there,
Okay,
so
that's good.
we can use that link. I was trying to show you. What else did I do? It said the Department of Transportation was contacted. I don't know who that was. Was that the town of Woodbridge? I mean, I think we should kind of
Right.
specify who contacted
It
it.
says the town of Woodbridge has been in contact with the Connecticut
I added
DOT.
town of Woodbridge with the question mark.
Okay,
And I said to discuss options for replacing the sidewalk, and, you know, it was requested that there was pervious stone, dust, whatever. But I just kind of fixed that language a little bit, but we should know who contacted DOT if we're gonna put that in there. Just a
we
vague
want it to be
reference is
correct, yeah.
kind of weird. I mean, that was the main thing. I had a question about the second to last paragraph describing exactly where it's going to go. It's because when I read it, I didn't understand what that meant, so I was trying to clarify it, but since I really don't know myself, I need one of you gurus to look at it and say, this is what we're trying to say.
Probably Frank would be the best, right?
Yep, I mean, Frank knows it very well.
Yeah, he was on the committee.
I think we had briefly touched upon this in
We
our last meeting,
did.
where as the river comes down through, it passes by the Darling House and down to Knoll's Pond. And then from Knoll's Pond, it empties out and runs along Route 69.
Nine. It says now a complete greenway trail would follow the West River from its origin at the watershed in rural Bethany and Woodbridge, continuing along Litchfield Turnpike through Woodbridge and along Whaley Avenue in Westville into urban areas of New Haven and West Haven. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just, yeah, we can add something else if you want, but if you think that's,
I mean, I would love to have.
do you wanna add Knoll's Pond somewhere in there?
It says along from Old Pond.
It does?
Along Litchfield Turnpike.
Oh, yeah, it says that up on the first part of the paragraph, so it's in there.
What page are you on?
12.
Of course, I asked that, I can't, sure I can read it. I printed it with your,
Oh, and then the
Oh,
last
yeah.
sentence, it said the Woodbridge Conservation Commission supports the establishment of the greenway through Woodbridge, but it's already been established, so I said including it in the Woodbridge Greenway, as part of the Woodbridge Greenway. I thought that,
Mm-hmm.
might just change that language. So that's,
sounds funny saying along Knoll's Pond.
right.
Basically, goes
Through.
through Knoll's Pond is just a wide part of the river. Right, kinda?
That's how it was written.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, since Frank wasn't explicit in what changes he made, he just simply says, I made some changes to the open space plan. Hope it works for you.
Okay.
Frank will make it work.
Yes, it will.
At our next meeting, we'll take this up again. I remember at our last meeting also, there was talk about consistency of capitalizing open space or not capitalizing open space. And for about 5 minutes today, I was considering this and trying to figure out, when do you capitalize open space and when you
Beginning of a
don't?
sentence.
It's-
DDO, I mean, I think open
Well,
space is.
sometimes it's O and the S is capital, sometimes, and then sometimes it's not, and it just
Wouldn't
totally
open
bothers
space,
me.
it's like a proper, like a
Proper
proper.
Like if you're referring to it as a name,
Yeah.
but if
Or
we're not, then it
classified.
should never be.
Classified piece of property as
Right.
open space.
And since it's the open space plan, it feels like it should be capitalized to me, but I don't, again,
But
I,
in some places,
defer.
it's just open space.
so then it shouldn't be in those spots.
Alright, so that was where I was going to, is that anytime it's being referred to as a thing, an entity,
Yeah,
open space,
like the
it
same
should
way
be
you capitalize
capitalized, right?
mom or dad.
No,
Or the
no,
White
not
House.
if it hasn't been classified as that by
Or
the
White
town yet,
House.
Right?
right? I mean, if we're referring to town property that, I mean, is there a town classification as open space?
Well, I think just the concept, just
So there's
for
no-
example, The Woodbridge Conservation Commission defines open space as any area including, and then it goes on with a couple descriptors.
Okay,
Would it
I'm with
be
you.
capital?
I'm with
I
you.
think it would be capitalized
Yeah,
there,
I'm
because
with
there
you.
you're,
Capitalize it.
there you're describing the.
And then when you refer
thing.
to it with capital letters later on, it is an entity,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right, like White House, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Yes, White House.
That was, Julie's example, that was a really good example.
Yes, right. It's my contribution for these.
Awesome.
All right,
Okay, done, capital open
So
space, next.
I was in favor of that.
That's good.
Do you want me to go through and make the changes?
that would be most excellent.
Just do a search and replace.
Now that I found it on my
Well,
iPad,
no,
I
you
can
can't
actually
just
do
do that
it.
because sometimes you
Why?
can't do that.
Well, you have to check each one before you accept it.
Well, you can check each one,
Yes,
right,
fine,
yeah.
yes,
But it'll
yes.
find it for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
fine.
What, you mean you
I
don't
will,
wanna read through the whole thing all over again?
You're psychedelic.
Of course I do.
Show me how to do that.
Just don't wanna miss one.
That's a degree. I can't stand that.
Because that does happen. So, other than that, I think we are down to just the last few details.
Awesome.
So with Frank's additions,
Okay, great.
a few changes there, I think we're good. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda tonight is to discuss the property rating system options. So, background on this. This goes back to way back. I would say early 2000s, maybe around 2005, 2006. There was some rating system developed by prior members of the Conservation Commission. We never received any write-up about it. I heard rumors that it was based upon something that CACIWC, the Connecticut Association of Inland Wetlands and Conservation Commissions, something they had proposed and put out for consumption by the various commissions out there. I couldn't confirm that. I did get a copy of some partial work that was done, but that partial work simply listed what the categories were, gave very brief descriptions, but it didn't say, are they all weighted equally? Because when you go and look at the ratings of the properties, it appears they're all weighted equally, but then again, some properties, there's at least one property that was rated twice with different values. So I don't even understand how to interpret that. And one of the ratings was unknown, so I think is what it was.
Was it
Yeah.
maybe
So. how-
rated one way as a viable piece of property that the town may wish to acquire, and then rated another way as a property that should be protected, as opposed to being actually purchased by the town? Although all that stuff mysteriously disappeared, so.
Honestly, I don't wanna spend a whole lot of time trying to interpret what was previously done, because.
You said those two models, Delaware and Bristol, Rhode Island.
Right, so there's a couple of others that we can look at. So Delaware had a pretty clear system. I think theirs was probably the most comprehensive.
That was good. Yeah.
I love scales and ratings, and
Mhm.
it might be overly much, but,
Did you send that in an email?
yeah, I had sent that around last week, just to give everybody a chance to
I think on the 8th.
try and find it here. on my
Yeah,
computer.
and I actually printed it, and I think I left it at work.
Let's see, so I had circulated around Bristol, Rhode Island, Delaware, and Stonington as some examples. It was, yeah, sent on the 8th, yeah.
Did you have something that was particularly appealing to you? Stonington, why isn't Stonington on here?
Did I not include Stonington?
I don't seem to have it. I have Delaware and Bristol and the Matrix. Unless, is this one Stonington? Is this one?
Oh, there might have been one that was just a single page that may not have. Yeah, the one that's got absolutely no heading other than open space parcel rating sheet.
Stonington?
Okay.
It would be Stonington.
Yeah.
So if everybody has these documents available, I think I wanna sort of tackle each one. Julie, were you able to locate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, since Delaware's the biggest one, let's leave that one for last.
Okay.
Let's take a quick look at Stonington. Maybe have the shortest single page thing here. So they start off, identify the parcel, date of site visit, and who was there. So obviously, anytime they rate property, it's not just looking at the map and looking at the town records. You go there and you check it out.
That's good.
They have primary, secondary, and tertiary criterias.
That's interesting.
And
How, well, I guess you would just look it up if it was a few months with a hazard or anything.
And what I find interesting about their rating, so their primary criteria is rated from 0 to 3.
Right.
Their secondary criteria goes 0 to 2,
And 0 to 1.
and 0 to 1 for tertiary. So they have this weighting built into it. So secondary criteria can never have a value of 3.
Right.
Mhm.
If it would be that important, it would be up in primary.
Mhm.
And likewise, tertiary, its highest score could be a 1.
Mm-hmm.
So they're clearly looking at their tertiary criteria, farmland, soils, historic significance, those are
So
not,
6s are very high on their list.
um, they're not super important, but wildlife habitat, watershed protection, size of the parcel.
The acreage numbers, I don't know how relevant that would be to our town, but that's any information.
Mm.
Well, I mean, so property that we're looking at on,
Litchfield Turnpike?
yeah, I mean, that, you would think that a large piece of property like that would be something you want to rate high as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
over on Enoch. Should be a smaller piece of property
Right.
that, other than acreage, we're not losing that much as long as we're protecting the green line, right?
Oh,
the
I agree,
trail.
acreage should be.
So acreage is,
Should be considered, I was just, like I said, I was going too far into detail, looking at their numbers of acres, and we may want to modify that. But I do agree, acreage is relevant,
Yeah.
very important.
And I think as we look at each one of these rating scales, they all have very similar criteria, but how they're organized is significant.
Right.
And how they're weighted, right?
Yep.
and we don't have to go by this. I mean, we could
Oh,
take it,
absolutely.
we could take the same idea and we could say, maybe move, like existing trails from secondary to primary, if that's something we're looking at.
Yep.
Right.
You know, we wanna have this open space, this lowercase open space, and we want it to be accessible to the public. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have it just to have it. It
Right.
can't be enjoyed by
Precisely.
residents, so. And then if you could have a small piece that's in the middle of nowhere that you can't get to, then why?
And really, what defines this is the definition of how we define open space to begin with. So you
Mhm.
can really go right back to that and just take it from that, right? I mean,
Yep,
so-
use that as our foundation to building this up.
Yeah, I like Stonington's.
So Stonington is pretty simple. Simple can be good. Let's take a look next at Bristol, Rhode Island.
Oh, theirs was even more simple.
It is. I think they have one table.
And they're on the water, right, so they're much,
Mhm.
so different.
Yep.
And so Stonington.
Bristol. So they have 10 criteria. So they've got 10 criteria, and they can be rated from 0 to 3. So in this case, there's no weighting.
Right.
Nothing is more important than anything else. They do have different ratings for sizes. So they get a high score for anything over 10 acres, whereas Stonington was 25 acres. Feasibility of purchase, that's interesting. How likely are we to be able to acquire a property?
Waterfront estates.
Clearly, the folks over on Nugent, they would have a very low
Yes.
likelihood of, low feasibility. Historic value, scenic value. Some of these are difficult, I think, to put into a rating scale.
Qualify.
Because scenic to somebody is not scenic to somebody else.
Right, sure.
Some people love marshes, and other people think they're stinky,
Yeah.
squishy, muddy things.
Right.
Yeah.
Potential offsets development, yeah.
I think scenic value was in some of the others too.
It is. I mean, it's one that you will find everywhere. I just find
It's subjective.
if we put in something that's subjective, we need to put in some framework around it to indicate what is termed
7 of 10
scenic.
people who view this.
Exactly. Should have a Facebook poll or something. Do you think this is scenic or this is scenic?
Yeah, you'll get a lot of reaction.
So they're certainly using a more simplified, flat scale.
Right, but they do have below, they have how they're defining each 0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. All right. So now let's take a look at the Delaware open space plan. So this guy has got, their scales go from negative 10 points to 40 points. Yeah. So they're far more comprehensive. It's a 10-page document describing the rating scales.
It's for the whole, oh yeah.
What do you see now?
Yeah.
In 0, it's
And
showing.
then capitalized
Oh,
open space,
yeah.
FYI.
Negative. Yeah, negative only comes up in their land use section. So,
It's so interesting how it looks so different from the others, isn't it?
It
I
is.
mean, just,
for example, you get negative points if there's
Yes.
buildings on the property.
yeah,
Ecological value.
But is it
and-
different when it's a whole state?
I know, that's what I would
When you
know,
think-
I'm trying to see.
And when you think about like, all those estates down there, the public estates,
Mhm.
like, Winterthur and all those places, those are like big, giant, it's a whole other world than us, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
water
It
park,
is.
swimming pool, dog park, beach access, historic sites, golf course.
But we
play.
could always lift some stuff from here.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I think it's just important to
Okay.
take a look at.
Yeah. And then their total cap points is crazy how many points it can be.
Yeah, this is a little bit too complicated.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite at Delaware's
See, like
level.
Stonington.
We won't finish this for 10 years.
I'll come in with my walker, God willing.
Although I kind of like the fact that,
It looks nice.
I mean,
I like
something that's always bothered me about public acquisition of properties is if there's buildings on it, because that brings with it
Mhm.
negatives,
Mhm.
maintenance, liabilities,
Mhm.
do you split it and sell it? What do you do with it?
Mhm.
So it's interesting that they put negative values on them.
Mhm.
Disc golf courses,
Mhm. What does that mean?
disc golf.
I know. But, oh, that's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, right.
No, there's actually, that got voted down here,
Oh,
came
Yeah.
before the Board of Selectmen
huh.
on the Fitzgerald property. And actually, no, there's Great Park, Westport,
Okay.
Sherwood
Mhm.
Island
Mhm.
State Park.
Yeah.
And it's a It's a great area, it's a great beach, great park, a bird sanctuary of sorts with disc golf throughout the whole area. And beautiful piece of property. I'm kind of surprised that it got voted down here.
Yeah, frisbee golf is pretty non-invasive in terms of recreation.
Right.
You don't have to install dugouts or
No, I mean,
put
you
up lights
install
or
the
fencing or.
The basket.
basket, basically, you just gotta throw it into the basket. But as a matter of fact, I think in all the times I've been there, and I've been there a couple dozen times over the last couple of years, I think I've seen 2 people playing.
Oh, really? That's a shame.
Although I'm usually there earlier in the morning, but
When the recreational frisbee golf guys are still sleeping.
yeah. Well, I think the issue they had here was people were concerned that, people get hit with the frisbee.
Yeah.
I think that was necessarily the issue. I just don't think they wanted anything on the property.
So, something I noticed that's not on Delaware, at least maybe I'm missing it, scenic value.
I thought I saw that. Thought I saw that.
Is that under like ecological value?
Because what I do like about the Delaware plan is they're very precise in defining why something gets a certain score. So they have a section on development pressure. And then they define what 20 points is, 15 points, so it's very cut and dry and clear, so there's no misinterpretation of what is meant.
Where's development pressure?
It's on the, I
think
think,
the
third
third
page,
one.
under land use.
You mean everything is definable?
Quantifiable. What does that mean? So, I certainly would like to see some ranking criteria that's spelled out clearly like Delaware has. So if we do want to include scenic value, we should certainly say what makes it scenic.
Well, it feels like they skirted that by being specific about plants, animals, habitat, like a lot of these things, forested or not, probably are related to scenic value, but they've done it in a more objective, quantifiable way, instead of just saying scenic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, things like percent forest cover, percent wetland.
So yeah, I think this gets to scenic value, but more objectively.
Because like even in how we describe the walk along the West Rock as some of the most beautiful land in Connecticut.
Right.
That's already sort of objective, so you're right, I think it should be more definable for really the
What
prioritize.
What makes it
Yeah.
beautiful? Is it
Yeah,
the
that
forest,
statement makes me
animal?
uncomfortable in there, even though it is beautiful.
No, it is.
And it's also apparently a,
National treasure? No, wow.
there's a
Wonder of the world.
population of snakes.
Oh, the rattlesnakes.
Oh,
Actually, I think they were copperheads, weren't they?
Oh,
Or were they
snakes.
rattlesnakes?
Excited to go.
Might have been rattlesnakes.
I think there were rattlesnakes over there.
Rattlesnakes, there's a community of rattlesnakes that live in the rocks in that area there that are somewhere, I think,
So
a
which
couple
one-
years ago,
what
right,
month-
we were talking about
What month
that.
is that walk?
It's
Take a
April,
lot
you
of
wanna go on that
time.
one?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should make it now, while they're all still hibernating. Yeah, that was, somebody
we
showed up
can
at a
just
meeting.
make a lot of noise, but bring rattles.
Yeah,
Isn't that what you do?
Rattlesnake?
Yeah, you make a lot of
No, that
noise.
attracts them.
Oh, it does? Thanks, Joe. So, I'm pretty sure you make noise. and
So
then they
Jason,
don't bother
you like Delaware.
It's too.
I like Delaware, but I
Parts
also
of
think,
it.
I think it's overly much, but I like how it's very
The
specific.
idea.
I think we could take Stonington and add detail to it,
Let's do that.
add Delaware detail to it.
Or can we take like ecological value in Delaware and compress plants, animals, and habitat, as one category?
Maybe. Yeah, I'd also, yeah. I like the weighting that Stony puts into it.
Mhm.
So things are more important than others.
Mhm.
And Stonington capitalized open space, by the way.
I said that.
Well, but the
I
weighting is
noticed that.
subjective too, I mean, because, was it Bristol, looked at historic value, you could get 40 points for historic, national historic.
But they didn't capitalize trailway, so.
Oh my God, this is gonna be fun. Oh, my Katie.
Yeah, something between Stonington and Delaware, those two ends of the spectrum anyway.
All right. Well, I'll take a crack at maybe putting those together in some way. for
I'll
me.
also look at it, I'm gonna see what I can pull out of Delaware to add. I'll send you what I think.
Okay. So I'll pull together a single cohesive rating, not a single sheet, it'll probably spill onto multiple sheets at first. But hopefully we can whittle it down to maybe a single rating sheet so you can quickly glance at it, but having something behind it explaining when you're a watershed protection score of 1, that means you're a state recognized watershed or something, whatever. But have something behind the numbers that indicates why it would be a 1 and not a 2.
Can I
Okay.
ask just a simple question for, what was the last major purchase that we made for open space?
Country Club.
Was it?
Mhm.
But-
But
But
that,
it
that's,
wasn't
I think
for-
that's debatable,
but
some
it
people
wasn't
thought
for
it was
open
to be
space, right.
flipped.
And what about before that, for example? I just.
Racebrook Tract, I
Yeah,
think.
I think so. That was in parts.
Yeah, we bought somewhere around 80 acres, I think,
I'm
around
just
in the
curious.
Racebrook Tract. Yeah, there was a lot of open space acquisition, I would say, in the 90s and into the early 2000s.
It's like $1 million a year for a number of years.
Yeah. So the town definitely has quite a bit of open space to work with at this point. But because we have parcels that are still of interest, right now it's just a list, and there's no documentation really backing up why they're
So
there.
now we're just trying to
Is
prioritize.
that what?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well,
So the town had a lot of tech stocks.
That's right, the bubble of 2000, and everything went south after 2008. Good. So, Tom, I'll look for some feedback from you on that,
Sure.
and for our next meeting, I'll put together a first draft.
And I'll get something to you for the April. That's coming up
It is.
in 2 weeks, right?
I don't know how that happened.
3
Something
weeks.
like that.
3 weeks.
It's crazy. It's already
Hopefully some of the snow melts by then.
That's
I
2
marked
years.
3 last week.
Yeah, next week's 24th and the 31st.
All right, so, last item on the agenda is the chairman's report. I only have 2 items. One, an update of the 31 Enoch Drive property. So I think I'd circulated a copy of the letter to everybody, so that letter went to the Board of Selectmen. And there was a very lively discussion at public comments 2 weeks ago, I think it was, roughly 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Or was it last week? Anyway.
There's a way.
So it outlined our stance that we had decided upon. And at the moment, there's still negotiations going on between the potential buyer being the adjacent property owner, and nothing really has changed at this point, other than more talk. And the other item is that the Connecticut Land Conservation Council 33rd Annual Conference is this Saturday. It's an all-day session up at Wesleyan. There is a discount for pre-registration. I don't think they've sold out yet. They have a land trust t-shirt and a hat swap.
Nice.
Ooh.
You don't even have that.
And we're not a land trust either, but Nevertheless,
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be our next meeting.
If we could.
if we all
We get our-
come wearing
we get our-
different representations,
If
like.
they didn't cut our budget, maybe we can buy ourselves hats
For
for trading.
for our trail walks,
Oh
we
my
can
God,
do
that
we
is
have
so,
our t-shirts.
yes.
When my son played baseball, we used to buy the medals. Maybe we should buy medals for Woodbridge Conservation Commission. We can make them out of wood.
All right, carving project for the Scouts.
You're fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So that conference is this weekend. They've got 44 different workshops. They do have some good looking
You
workshops.
going?
Yeah, they,
At this point, I was considering it seriously, but right now, this cold that's hitting me starting today is
Oh,
it is a
Thank
great
you.
conference though,
sounds
I went up,
great.
what, 2 years ago?
yeah.
and I can't make it this Saturday. I've got family commitments, but it is a good, it's a great conference. And you'll learn a lot. They've got a lot of this
Yeah.
separate, and they give away free stuff.
We'll have to
Get yourself a free
put
t-shirt and some
Yeah, we could
seeds.
plan it in advance.
You get yourself some seeds, maybe go next year.
Yeah, if you get a chance, a choice of khaki wick or this one, I would opt for this one just
Actually,
because.
the one 2 years ago actually got the town of Woodbridge a Audubon bird study out of the deal, which actually I happen to have a copy of, which is a forest bird habitat assessment that was done
That value should go into our.
through the Park Association. You have a copy of that, don't you?
I don't.
I'll get you
All
one.
those pictures of it.
Yeah.
Very good document. They walk through
Can we see
Alice
that?
Newton Street Park, and they walk through, and we went with them.
So that was done, the Parks Association
Right,
did that one?
right. And it was a result of the meeting that we went to.
Yeah.
And they had Audubon was there, Connecticut Audubon, and they were doing these, has to be a certain size property, and we fit all the criteria.
With the Alice Newton Street Park right
Right.
behind the town hall.
And they came out and they walked through, it took a while to get the report, but it's very comprehensive. And they talk about bird species, they talk about the soil, they talk about plants, they talk about invasives, they talk about a lot of different qualities of the park.
There's a lot of documentation written on that park.
Yeah, and it was a little bit different than the one that Yale School of Forestry did,
Yeah, that was the other one that I was thinking of. That was
which I sort of copied that one as well. That's a beautiful,
Yeah, I'm gonna be scanning that, so that we'll have it in electronic format to have available for ourselves as well as I think it should be available to the public too. There's no reason to.
I think it's just the expensive price. It's very,
Well, we're not gonna make any printed copies.
Yeah.
We'll have a electronic downloadable version. Okay. That being said, I've got nothing else from the chairman's side of conservation to report upon. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.